Hi, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of the Reserve Weekly series. In this episode, I will be covering the Reserve ecosystem news from March 9th until today, March 30th. I intend to release an episode bi weekly from this point on, but I may increase frequency if needed. I'm excited to get this first episode out, and I'm open to any criticisms you may have. Okay, so let's start. On Thursday, March 9th, Silicon Valley Bank was subjected to a bank run. The scale of the bank run forced Silicon Valley Bank to not honor some or all of their customer withdrawal requests. The next day, Friday, subsequent to the Silicon Valley Bank issues, Circle reports that it is holding $3.3 billion of its cash deposits at Silicon Valley Bank and is not able to withdraw said funds. That night, around 10 p.m., USDC starts to depeg. Shortly after the depegging starts, Coinbase halts redemptions for USDC. Within 6 hours, USDC reaches a price of 88 cents on the dollar. While this was happening, shortly after midnight, an eUSD redemption triggered by myself alerts the Reserve Protocol that USDC has depegged beyond the threshold of 0.9875 cents on the dollar. It starts in motion a 24-hour countdown, at the end of which the protocol will evaluate whether the price of USDC is above or below the depeg threshold of 0.9875. If below this threshold, the protocol will allow the USDC collaterals to be auctioned off. What is important to note about eUSD is that there is currently an additional 6 hours trading delay before the auctions can take place. In the end, USDC did not repeg above 0.9875 within the 24-hour time window. The collateral needed to be auctioned off to make eUSD holders whole again. With that, on Sunday morning, the team and a large group of onlookers gathered and auctioned off the cUSDC and saUSDC collaterals. The first of the emergency backups was DAI, but since that was defaulted as well, USDT was used, as it was maintaining its peg. And both of these auctions went well. RSR needed to be auctioned off to bridge the gap of value from the defaulted USDC, but when it came time to that auction, the protocol detected an unsafe discrepancy. This discrepancy, while minor, was enough for the protocol to get governors involved to make sure there were no deeper problems. To solve this problem, a proposal needed to be passed to re-enable the broker. The vote passed, and RSR was able to be auctioned off shortly after. However, there was another surprise, this one being a good surprise, where the saUSDT and cUSDT collaterals had appreciated sufficient amounts to allow them to be auctioned off for yield distribution to stakers. Due to this auction happening, the total amount of RSR needing to be sold was actually less than it would have been if this was not the case. After those two auctions went through, the staked RSR was successfully auctioned off and eUSD was officially made whole again. I do want to freeze for a moment and talk about the auction process on Gnosis. This is an open platform that anyone can participate in and allows you to place bids on collateral as it comes up for auction. While I don't fully understand the interface in the process right now, I encourage everyone to go and check it out. It's pretty cool. Since the USDC depeg, the FDIC has announced that all Silicon Valley Bank deposits are safe and USDC has repegged and confidence has been restored. With that said, eUSD's current backing is 25% cUSDT, 25% saUSDT, and 50% USDT. I guess this is pretty close to Thomas's idea of an insured tether, haha. So obviously the 50% USDT portion needs to be swapped out, and everyone has been wondering if maybe using TrueUSD, TUSD, or Paxos USDP derivatives would be wise instead of backing eUSD with either USDC or Tether derivatives. The only issues with that, as Thomas points out in this screenshot, are that TUSD and USDP derivatives are not sufficiently liquid for eUSD as it continues to scale. He indicates that it would be wise to disregard all collateral options under $50 million of liquidity, and I now agree with him. If you want to pause now, I'll put up DeFi Llama screenshots of both Compound V2 and Aave V2 markets so that you can understand where the liquidity for each asset sits. So, there is a proposal live right now to rebalance eUSD with Compound and Aave derivatives for USDT and USDC. I encourage you all to go and vote in this proposal at the end of this video. This is your duty as an RSR staker. It's a serious job to have. Just note that proposals have already failed to reach quorum, aka, not enough people have voted for the protocol to recognize the vote as legitimate. Please go vote. Speaking of proposals, I have started two myself. If you go to register, you can see that they are available for voting. Note that I made a mistake in my initial trading delay proposal, and you should only consider the proposal with correct appended to it. The voting ends on Saturday morning for Thomas's proposal, and the voting for my two proposals ends on Sunday night. You can view the reasoning for both of my proposals on the Reserve Forum at forum.reserve.org. Just navigate to OpenEUSD, request for comments. While you're there is some good reading material on governance and some history. Also, some very big news today. RPay has officially launched fiat on ramps for Mexico. This has been a long time coming, and I am super excited to learn more about the team's plans for Mexico. I did find this list of banks that are supporting Reserve as of right now, and well, the list is insanely impressive. Over 100 banks. Over 100 banks, not locations, but actual banks. If you go and search for the largest banks in Mexico, 14 of the top 15 banks are in this list. And there are many, many huge banks here as well, besides those. RPay has been working very hard, and something tells me that there are more banks to come. Very cool. Congrats to Victoria, Gabo, and everyone on the RPay team. You can definitely feel their excitement. Well, that's it. That's the first episode. I did have to cut some things like the backtester. I'd like to do that justice rather than just a quick mention. Maybe I'll do some trials. If I can put out another episode mid next week, I will certainly include the things I cut. I want to say thank you, everyone, for coming. Yeah, I'll try to do more of these. And thank you very much for being here. See ya.